This is Video Game Talk. If you thought you were going to hear about a movie review, well, suck it. I also play video games. So, let's dive into it.
Stay down!
Welcome to the show, everybody. This is a new edition of movie reviews. We're going to be taking a break from movies. We're going to be talking about some video games today. Today I have a guest on the show. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
My name is Austin, and I'm stoked to be here with Anthony.
Austin here is one of the greatest gamers I've ever met. We've been probably best friends for, I don't know, how long have we known each other now?
Maybe since, March? April?
Yeah, March or April. Anyways, that was the beginning of bright friendship when he asked me what video games do I play. So, ever since then, we've been trying to hop on with each other. We've been playing Gears of War lately. And right now we're actually playing Gears of War, ready to discuss Gears of War and the future of Gears of War. So what do you think? What do you think Gears of War is heading to when 4's coming out? I mean, the beta already passed. Are we on a good track? What are your personal opinions?
Based off of Gears of War 3, I think they're on a good track. Creating some new enemies, not trying to be so repetitive, and create the whole out of nowhere the enemy reappears and they have to write a story just to recreate the enemy again. But they've created a whole new enemy. And also with 3, we saw a lot more fluent gameplay instead of pretty clunky like in 1 and 2. So it seems like, I didn't get to play the beta, but it seemed like it was a lot more fluent than even 3.
Now, have you played Judgment before, the fourth Gears of War, the actual fourth that was just kind of a throwaway?
I did, and I was not impressed.
Yeah, how did you feel after that? Did you feel that Gears of War, that was going to be the future of it, or do you think 4 will pick up with what we really want?
I thought Judgment was just going to be the end of it, just because Epic Games was kind of abandoning Gears. I never thought we'd see it again. I kind of took it as a rushed, let's get one more game out there for sales type of game, and that was it. So I'm stoked to see what someone that's committed to the game will do with it next.
Now, what have we seen so far? The beta came out. I saw a lot of the shotgun. The shotgun is staying the same. That's going to be a big plus for people that play the Gears of War PvP matches. Even sniping. Sniping seems to be pretty up there, like the mechanics. Everybody seems to be getting headshots a lot, so what do you think?
What looks really cool to me is the weapon it looks like the opposite of the digger. It shoots up in the air and drills into the head and explodes.
Oh, yeah.
I'm excited to see some new weapons like that and see what they create with all their action and gore that they put into it.
I feel like that's what Gears of War has always done right, is the gore. The gore has always just been so entertaining and never, like, over the top where it's disgusting and makes you want to puke.
What's funny is they actually they have like the turn blood and gore off, and it's not the same.
It's not, but I really appreciate that feature. For a rated M game, it doesn't need that at all. But they allow it, and I wonder why that is. Maybe to let kids have a chance at Gears of War, even though it's still pretty violent. I'm not quite sure why they do that, but I appreciate it.
It's just kind of funny, like, thinking a little kid playing and them not wanting their kid playing this, and you still run up to people with chainsaws.
It's just sparks that fly out like Star Wars.
And they want the equivalent of like rainbows flying out of the body and kittens flying out. What do you think the future of Gears of War holds?
Well, I want to say that I was a Gears of War fan ever since the co-op of the first game. I never liked the first Gears of War by myself when 360 came out. I enjoyed it. I had to play it on easy. Wasn't a fan. It was really new to play a third-person cover-based system that good for its time. So I really liked and hated it at the same time. But then once 2 came out, I just thought it was so unique, I'll give it a try again. And I loved it. Gears 2 got me hooked. I was like, this campaign is insane. I'm like, one level for sure was just so different from other story games where your team actually gets consumed by a giant earth-eating worm. And you have to fight outside of its guts and like fight through its digestive system to survive. Like, I found that so much fun, and just by myself, really cared for the characters. I was also surprised by the writing. And then by the time Gears of War 3 came out, I trapped myself in my room and had my own little setup with the TV in the closet, and I was never seen unless if I had to go to school. Like, that's how good Gears 3 was for me. It was fantastic.
That's how I was with Gears 1. I was hooked on it.
Yeah. It's just so unique, and that's what I want them to keep in 4, is go ahead, introduce new characters, give me Marcus's son, make Marcus old, like, let's progress with the story, but let's not get ahead of ourselves, because Judgment was just utter crap. They just produced a Horde mode story, basically just waves of enemies spawning out of corners with no story at all. Like, it was literally just cutscenes carrying the whole thing. No gameplay. It was so bad. At the end of every chapter, they had scorecards like you were playing Horde mode. Like, that's how, like, bad the story was on that game. And not to mention PvP. They added the vault system to the point where you could basically jump over cliffs and keep running at a full sprint. It was not cover-based, it was hop-based. Basically a new hopping system. And it was just ridiculous. Game not even balanced, just throwing stuff.
Yeah, and I remember that stuff, like the hopping, it wasn't like intentional, it was clearly glitched. And like they didn't even put in the effort, it seemed like, to fix that.
Not at all. And the graphics, I have to say, it had a downgrade from, not close up, but you could just tell the draw distance was just not taken care of. And it's surprising, because you would think if you're going to be that lazy, you might as well just copy 3 and then make it trash. But no, they literally like probably built something off of a whole new engine and just made crap. I don't know how that went down, but it was bad.
The thing I appreciate about the new characters is, like I said, not having to create a really forced story to make it so it's the Locusts come back again. It just reminds you of like the
Right.
Avengers and Avengers 2. It's someone attacks the world, they save it, and then repeat, and they have to come up with another story of why the world's being attacked. So I didn't want to see a forced story of why the Locusts are returning and how they've resurrected and built their armies without us knowing again for the 4th time.
Exactly. Now, did you see any gameplay on 4?
I saw tiny clips of it, but not much.
Okay, so there's new enemy types. They're actually going to be introducing, like, robotic drones. Like, very robotic, very Terminator-like. And it actually seems fun. It doesn't seem like boring targets, which they should be because they're robots. And they have new blocky-looking weapons, like Lego blocks that just look like Terminator weapons. So that'll be cool. They're introducing new enemy types besides Locusts. The Locusts look like more naked than usual. It's almost like a brand new orc just came out the dirt. And then they have, what was the enemy? It was like zombie/alien looking enemy types that were crawling around. So it's definitely looked like there's a lot of effort put into this 4th installment.
I'm curious how the robot enemies will do, because it's so far from the original Gears of War feel. When you chainsaw people, it's not going to have that same blood and gore exciting effect to it, or headshots for even. The pop sound that you get from a headshot's like one of the best things in the game, and they're taking that away in a way.
They are, but I feel like they're also adding, because they're not just restricting it to the drone type of like human-looking figure. They actually have flying ones with shields on it, almost like a Destiny type. And I'm a sucker for Destiny, but they also had just a lot of different variant types, so I don't see it being too much of an issue. I see it more as like a story block that you're gonna have to, obviously fight these enemies and get over it if you don't like them, but I feel like they're gonna have just enough enemy types to feel like that part of the game, the robots won't be just boring to fight. I feel like there'll be somewhat of a challenge, a little bit switching up, and I definitely saw that they're gonna be doing self-destructing mechanisms, so a lot like the land bit from 3. That doesn't seem too far from what you're used to, so I'm not quite sure, but I am worried like you are. Like, I hope it doesn't get boring and drugged down with the robotic.
I don't think it'll be boring, but just it won't have that Gears of War feel.
Exactly, yeah.
I don't know, I don't have any negative or positive thoughts about it, but I'm indifferent about it right now. So I guess I'll have to see some gameplay or just wait for the game to come out to see how I feel about the robot enemies.
Also, a new thing they're adding is through the first sneak peek teaser that we got, there's actually a weather system that's going to be playing into this game. And that'll be really interesting to see, because Only time I've ever messed around with weather system during a story mode was probably that I really noticed would probably be Bioshock, the Bioshock series, the Infinite installment. I think that was the third game that came out. So that'll be different because the cover-based system, you'll be taking cover. There's going to be a windstorm shooting debris at you, and I wonder how that's going to change the battlefield because there's also lightning, and for some reason lightning can interfere with your battle arena. So that'll be different.
I'm curious to see if it'll create the same effects each time. So if lightning hits, barriers will move at the same spot each game, or whenever lightning hits, it just does the same thing. I'd like to see it do different things each time, so it still isn't in the same way the same.
It's not predictable, like, oh, here comes the lightning storm, go take cover. It's going to be like, here's the lightning storm, let's see if we can draw people into a certain type of trap. Yeah, I could totally see that being a part of it. That'd be fun.
Because I'd hate for example, it's just kind of like your stereotype spawns on each side in like a middle that everyone tries to take. I would hate to see the same covers get moved from the weather. Like if a wind blew and moved like a barrier, it always lands in the same spot each time, and so it's just like another one of those maps that change once per game, and then it's considered a brand new map.
Yes. You want it to be a little bit more organic and flowy instead of just like expecting every cover to pop up with. How would you explain that? Are you saying that you want it to be more like a battlefield situation, like when weather rolls in, it just affects the battlefield the way it does organically? Or are you saying that?
I guess Battlefield would be a good example, but in the way with their destructible environment, you don't know which houses are going to explode or which one's going to go fully down, which walls are going to be out, and so you have to constantly figure out where you can go because buildings are being destroyed in front of you, so you can't go inside of them. And different stuff like that. I would love to see something like that where it's not the same. And so let's just use Battlefield for example again. If lightning hits a house and it blows up, it's not the same house every time. Like if you do where it hits the same house, even though it changes the original map, it's still the same because no one's experiencing something different after the second time playing it. And so I'd like to see a map where you experience something different in it after the 50th time you play it.
Now, before we close out, we should talk about the commitment with Microsoft, because is it not a concern for you on how Cliff Bleszinski, or however you want to pronounce his name, the creator of Gears of War, left Microsoft? Like, let's discuss that. Do you think Microsoft knows that they're kind of in a ditch right now?
Well, and especially now, Gears of War was still under Epic Games when it came out Judgment. Microsoft Studios has always released some pretty solid games. So I'm hopeful that Microsoft will take it because they know it's one of their biggest franchises for exclusive to Xbox. So I'm curious how they'll stick to it and they'll want to commit to it and make it a good exclusive game.
Is there anything else you want to close out with before closing the show?
Play more Gears of War.
Play more Gears of War. Get yourself ready. Gears of War 4 is coming out. If you're stuck on PlayStation, go enjoy Paragon, because that game is apparently made by Cliff, but I'm not a fan of it. So, yeah, if you're missing out on Gears of War, that sucks for you. It's going to be fantastic, I believe. Can't wait for some more chainsawing, and yeah. All right. Thanks for tuning into the show. You know what it is. Every now and then, check my channel out, and we'll be talking about random things, movie reviews, video games, and we'll just be branching out. So peace out, y'all. Thanks for tuning in.